Well, good afternoon, everyone.
Buenas tardes a todos.
This is Pastor Terry,
Este es el Pastor Terry
and my special guest today is Jeanette,
y mi invitada especial Janet.
and she's the other half of the twins.
Ella es la otra mitad de las gemelas.
So it's good to have you on the program today.
Es bueno tenerte en el programa hoy.
Are you nervous?
¿Estás nerviosa?
Kind of, yeah.
Sí,
we'll try
Because
to
you
make-
probably put me on the spot.
I'll try to make you more nervous
La
as we
voy a
go.
poner más nerviosa.
I like to, make people nervous.
A mí me gusta
Yeah, I
hacer la
know.
gente que se ponga
And we
nerviosa.
have a new translator today,
Tenemos un nuevo traductor hoy,
Sinaí.
Sinaí.
And by the way, you're doing really good. I understand everything you're saying.
Estás haciendo muy bien, entiendo todo lo que estás diciendo.
Wow. So, you know the procedure here, right?
Tú sabes
Kinda.
cómo hacemos las cosas, más o menos.
So just tell us a little bit about yourself, how you grew up, where you grew up, a little bit about your life from the time you were little.
Cuéntanos
Till
un poco
now.
sobre ti, de dónde creciste y
Well, I grew up with my parents. I was born here, and my first language was Spanish, so I didn't know any English.
So
Yeah.
your first language is Spanish?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
yo fui nacida aquí y mi primer lenguaje es
Are you the
español.
younger or the older?
¿Eres la mayor o la
Older.
menor?
You're the
My
older.
sister and
La
I,
mayor.
the twins, were the oldest. So I have a younger brother and sister.
Tengo un hermano
So
menor
you're
y una
older than
hermana
your
mayor.
sisters.
No, she's older
She's
by
older than you.
5
Pero su
minutes. I think.
hermana
5 minutes?
es mayor
Oh,
por 5
okay.
minutos.
So she was in a hurry.
Entonces ella estaba
And you were kind
deprisa.
of lagging behind a little bit. Huh?
Yeah.
Tú venías un poco despacio.
Okay, did you grow up in Dallas or
Yeah, I
¿Creciste
grew up
en
in
Dallas?
Dallas.
In Oak
Sí,
Cliff,
crecí
or-
en Dallas.
No, in Pleasant Grove.
Pleasant Grove?
Pleasant
Oh,
Grove.
So you're from the Grove, huh?
Entonces eres del Grove.
Well, not really. We moved out.
You
after a
moved
while.
out of the
Más o
Grove?
menos,
Yeah.
después nos fuimos.
Oh, and then where'd you move to?
¿Y a
We
dónde
moved
te
to Balch
mudaste?
Springs.
To Box Springs?
mudé a
That's
Box
not too far
Springs.
from the Grove.
No,
Eso no
it's
está muy lejos de
It's
Pleasant
because my
Grove.
parents, they separated when we were like, I think 9 or 10.
Mis
Oh,
padres
really?
se separaron
Yeah.
cuando
So
yo
we
tenía
moved
como
over there.
9 o 10
Oh,
años.
so did you grow up without the father in the home?
¿Tú creciste sin tu padre en la
Um,
casa?
Yeah, because my dad was always working.
Sí, porque mi padre siempre
Well,
estaba trabajando.
our first dad that we thought it was our dad wasn't really our dad.
La primera persona
We
que
found out
pensábamos que era nuestro
whenever,
padre no era nuestro padre.
We were being nosy. We were at my grandma's house, and we were listening to their conversation, and then
Estábamos
she
siendo
told my dad,
metiches, estábamos
when
en
are
la
you going to
casa de
tell
mi
them that they're not
abuela
your daughter? So
y escuchamos
whenever
que
we
le
found
dijeron
that
a mi
out, that
papá
crushed
cuando
my
le van a
heart.
decir que nosotros
How old were
hijas.
you?
I was like
¿Cuántos años tenías?
9 or
Tenía
10.
como 9 o
Oh
10.
my gosh.
Yeah.
That had to be devastating.
Yeah, I
Eso-
still remember that, but
eso
then, you know,
Fue duro.
Did that
Sí, yo lo
create
recuerdo.
some problems for you at that
¿Eso
point?
creó problemas para ti?
I think it did because
Yo
it's
creo que
like,
sí.
Did you get angry
¿Te
I did.
enojaste?
and
Sí.
like, why didn't my mom tell me the truth? Or,
¿Por qué no me dijo mi mamá
yeah.
la verdad?
like
Sí.
for a while, even like maybe about when we were 14,
Cuando nosotros
she told us,
teníamos
"Oh, well, your dad
14,
was so and so, this person."
ella nos dijo,
You know,
tu
but
padre
he
era
had
esta
that was
persona.
her first husband when she got married, but he passed away. You know, so for a long time we're like, "Oh, that was our dad," you know.
Por
And we
mucho
were wanting
tiempo
to look
pensamos que él
for
era
him,
nuestro
but then
papá.
after a while I'm like, you know what? I'm just not gonna look for him. You know, I have my husband, so it's just like. And then my
Y
stepdad,
por
he
mucho
took care
tiempo
of
dije
us.
que ya no lo iba a buscar
You know,
porque
he
ya yo había
spoiled
crecido y
us.
tenía mi
so you never
esposo.
knew your dad?
Entonces
your
nunca
biological
conociste a tu
father?
No, I
papá.
never did.
No.
And so after you found out that your stepdad, wasn't really your dad, then how did that go? Were you kind of angry at him, or?
Después de que te
No,
diste
we
cuenta
weren't
que tu
angry at
padrastro
him,
no
but
era
then
tu
like
papá,
I
¿cómo
felt
te
like his family
sentiste?
started treating us different because, you know, we found out that, you know, we
Yo
weren't
vi que su
related.
familia nos
Yeah.
estaba tratando
So
diferente porque se dieron cuenta.
most everybody knew that y'all.
Yeah, and we didn't
Entonces
because
casi
we were
todas
young.
las
But
personas
everybody
But then
else-
when we were young,
Oh, I forgot, see,
You-
we're just having this conversation here. Forgot all about you. I was so interested in what's going on. I forgot about the translation. Okay, go ahead. I'll sit for 5 minutes. Let you catch up.
Go ahead.
Oh, you
I
too?
did- yeah,
You got
go
it?
ahead.
Okay. So you guys were the only ones that didn't really know
yeah,
what
we
was going
Entonces
didn't know,
ustedes
but then we
eran
were
las
always
únicas
asked
que no
because my dad
sabían.
was a little bit darker than us. Well, how come we're light, you know?
Yeah.
And then
Entonces
my
nosotros nos
brother and my sister were
preguntábamos
darker.
por qué
And
nuestros
then
hermanos
Mama would
eran
always
más
tell us,
morenitos que nosotros.
y'all didn't cook all the way in the oven.
Y nos decían, es que ustedes no se cocinaron en el...
You were
en
only
el
baking
oven".
around 300
And we
degrees.
believed her, you know, we were little and we believed her. So,
Yeah.
we believed everything my mom would
Y
say.
nosotros éramos pequeños y
But when
creíamos
we were
todo
small,
lo que decía
they
nuestro
they
mamá.
didn't treat us different. You know, like his mom, my grandma, she would, you know, they would just take care of us like if we were their
Just like
family.
Y cuando éramos
But
pequeños
when
nos
you,
trataban
when you found
diferente.
out,
Yeah,
did
I felt like things
things
changed.
changed?
Yeah.
Pero cuando me di
Oh.
cuenta sentí que las
So
cosas
we don't
cambiaron.
really talk to the family. there.
Really?
Yeah.
Entonces ya casi no hablamos con la
But
familia.
you still see your stepfather and everything?
Pero ahora aún ves a tu
Like once in a
padrastro.
while, I'll see him because he lives in Austin, so he doesn't live down here.
De vez en
Oh,
cuando
okay,
sí
so
lo
you
veo
don't really
porque
see
vive
him
en
too much
Austin.
anymore.
No.
Okay. And your mom still live in the area?
¿Y tu
Yeah,
mamá
she
también
does.
vive
She
en el,
lives in
en
Balch
el
Springs
área?
with my her second husband, my stepdad.
Sí, vive en Balch Springs con su segundo
My other
esposo.
stepdad.
Su otro padrastro.
Wow.
Yeah.
You get, multiple choice, amen?
Tiene dos opciones.
So how was your life growing up? Was everything cool and nice, or
¿Cómo
was
fue
it
tu vida
a little
creciendo?
rocky? Or?
It was a little rocky.
Fácil,
Like we had
difícil.
to, my mom, like we were taught to like help her and work. And when we were like, I can remember like 5 years old. So we would, from 5 years old, whatever she had to do, she knew how to do like crafts. So she would do like piñatas, like just party stuff, just to because my dad would leave out of town to work, so he would leave her sometimes with not much, and it was
So
4
she had-
kids.
she had to
Era
work.
difícil
Yeah.
porque teníamos que
She
trabajar
would
muy
make
duro
bowls.
desde la
She
edad
would
de
just
5 años.
anything. Like
Hacíamos
she would
manualidades,
buy like
piñatas a
in
veces porque mi
bulk
padre
stuff,
tenía
and we
que
would go
salir.
sell like bows, clips, whatever, dresses, whatever we had to do. And we were little. And
just to make
Vendíamos
some money while he
moños,
was gone
vestidos.
yeah.
to support the family.
Yeah,
Wow.
and she taught us at a young age, like, to just know how to do stuff with our hands. They're like,
Y
because
desde
if
una edad
whenever you get
temprana
married,
nos
if you get a
enseñó a hacer
lazy
cosas con
man,
nuestras manos.
You want to make sure she married a lazy man, you'd be able to make a
Yeah.
living,
Ella
right?
quería asegurarse
Yeah.
que si se casaban con
Absolutely.
alguien perezoso podían hacer dinero.
so I've been,
So she was preparing you.
yeah, and
Entonces los
I'm
estaba
glad she did.
preparando. Sí, me da gusto.
Get away from her. You're doing what I do now. You're getting ahead of the game. Translating for us is not easy, is it?
Going back and forth.
No, it's hard. Yeah. So you grew up learning how to work.
Entonces
So,
creciste aprendiendo a trabajar.
Are you glad today that you did?
Yeah,
Entonces,
because
¿te da
I
gusto
learned
hoy
a lot of
porque sí lo
stuff.
hiciste? Sí, porque aprendí muchas cosas.
I learned how to cook also.
Aprendí a cocinar.
That's
So-
good if you're going to get married.
Eso es bueno si te vas a
You know how
casar.
to cook. So
Yeah.
she taught you all the things.
Yeah.
Ella
we-
te enseñó todas
Yeah,
esas
she
cosas.
taught us everything, basically.
Sí, ella nos enseñó de todo.
So are you pretty close to your mom?
Entonces,
Yeah,
¿estás
I'm pretty
cercana a tu
close,
madre?
yeah. If
Sí.
they call me, if they need anything, I'm usually there. I'm like maybe 10 minutes away.
Si me hablan y necesita algo, yo estoy ahí. Vivo como a 5 o 10 minutos de
And
ahí.
does she still live in this area?
¿Y ella aún
Mhm,
vive en
yes.
esta área?
Okay, cool.
Sí.
So you grew up. So were you obedient daughter?
No,
¿Eras
I
una hija
wasn't.
You
obediente? No, no
No.
lo era.
You're a little rebellious.
¿Eras
Yeah, I was.
rebelde?
A little or a lot?
Sí.
A lot, I
A
guess.
lot.
Muy
Yeah.
rebelde.
Okay.
Yeah, because I felt like I was always the outcast because my twin sister was more spoiled. So I felt like I had to grow up because I had to take care of them. I was like, I felt kind of like a mom.
Yo me sentía un poco rechazada porque mi
'Cause my sister
hermana
would get
era
into
como
stuff
que le
and,
daban todo lo que
I
ella
had
quería
to-
y yo tuve que crecer más rápido y ser como la mamá.
I always had to be behind my sister because she got into stuff and, when she was little and
She's older though.
Yo tenía que estar tras de
I
mi
know,
hermana cuando
but
se
So
I
you
metía
had
en
to take care of
problemas.
her.
yeah.
Y ella es mayor y yo la tenía que
She got
cuidar.
into stuff all the time. She
Oh,
got
really?
she got
Siempre se metía en
electrocuted.
problemas.
when she was
Se
little.
Well,
electrocutó.
obviously she lived, right?
Yeah.
Obviamente vivió,
Electrocuted.
¿verdad?
She would always crash into the fence.
Siempre chocaba en la
So
barda.
I was always with her, so I would get blamed all the
Y
time.
yo siempre estaba con ella y a mí me echaban la
And I
culpa.
would get the whooping.
Y a mí también me daban el pau
And
pau.
she let you do it, huh?
Huh? Oh,
She let you be the sacrifice, huh?
Y ella
Yeah.
te dejaba que tú fueras el sacrificio. Sí.
Oh my goodness. So y'all are pretty good friends, though, right?
yeah.
Son buenas amigas,
Now we
¿verdad?
are.
Sí.
Now.
Bueno, ahora sí.
But back then, not so good.
No, I would always beat her up.
Pero antes no.
I love hearing these stories of how people grew up. It's
Amo
pretty
escuchar las
interesting.
I know
historias de
sometimes
cómo
the kids are
crecieron
like,
las personas.
they ask us, did you get along with her? And I'm like, I have to kind of change the subject.
A veces me preguntan, ¿se hablaban bien ustedes? Y a veces tengo que cambiar la plática.
So what were your interests in high school growing up? Did you
¿Cuáles
have-
fueron tus intereses en
I
la high
didn't
school?
finish high school all the way because I
Okay.
got with my husband at a very young age.
Yo no terminé
Okay.
la high school porque me casé con mi esposo muy
I
joven.
was just getting in trouble all the time.
Yo me metí en muchos problemas,
Fighting and
peleando.
So you're a
Yeah.
fighter.
Entonces eres una
Fighter
peleonera.
from the Groves, huh?
Una peleonera de
Not
Grove.
anymore.
Not anymore.
Ya no.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I just
So did you fight guys or girls?
Peleabas con
Guys.
hombres
Guys?
o mujeres, hombres.
So you fought men.
Entonces
yeah,
peleabas
whenever I
con
was
hombres.
in middle school, they would get on my nerves and
Y
I would
cuando
just
estaba
beat
en
them
la
up.
You just
secundaria
walk
me
'em
caían
because
gordos
like,
y
you're
los
on my
golpeaba.
nerves. Bang, get out of
Yeah,
here. Wow.
because they would try to pick on me and I wouldn't let them pick on me.
Porque ellos trataban de ser malos conmigo y yo no me dejaba.
Oh. So I didn't know we had a boxer here.
Yo no sabía que teníamos una
Anymore.
boxeadora aquí. Ya
I've
no.
calmed down a lot.
Ya me he calmado mucho.
I can just see you going through middle school just whipping up on all the boys.
Me
They
puedo
would call my
imaginar
mom a
verte en la
lot all the
secundaria
time.
peleando.
It's like, watch out, here comes one of the twins.
Ten cuidado,
The
ahí viene
twins
una de las
coming.
gemelas.
Did you get teased or kidded a lot about being a twin? How did y'all play? Did y'all ever fake being one or the other?
Oh.
¿Alguna vez fingieron ser la una y la otra, tú y tu hermana?
No, we
You
didn't.
didn't?
No, but they would
No.
always confuse us.
I
Pero
think that
siempre
would-
nos confundían.
I would think that'd be really fun to be a twin and then fake like you're the other one.
A mí se me
And
hace
go
que
do
sería muy
something really
divertido ser
bad
un
and
gemelo
play-
y
and
luego
then,
fingir que
"It
eres
wasn't
uno
me,
y
it
el
was
otro
my
y hacer
sister."
algo malo y decir que no fui yo, fue mi
No, they
hermana.
would always, whenever I was with my husband, they would call him, his friends, is like, hey, I see your wife, she's over here at the club. And he's like, no, that's not my wife. She's like right next to
A
me.
veces los amigos
And
de
they
mi
didn't know
esposo
that
me
we had
hablaban y me
twins.
decían, ve a tu esposa en
Oh,
el club. Y él decía, no, no es mi esposa está aquí.
That could be kind of confusing.
Eso puede ser un poco confuso.
So did he ever get mad?
¿Se
Um,
enojaba?
Did he ever
No.
think it was you?
Porque
I would
pensaba
always,
que eras tú.
ever
No.
since a young age, I would dye my hair. And I remember
Oh,
my mom
so-
got mad at me because my hair was like an orange color.
Oh,
Desde joven yo me pintaba el
You
cabello
got
y
it
mi mamá
orange?
se enojaba
No,
porque una
because
vez
my
lo
hair was-
pinté anaranjado.
My hair was black, natural black. So then I tried to bleach it.
yeah. I remember in high school people doing that, you know?
Yeah.
They'd put peroxide on their hair and it would turn out orange and yellow and
Yo recuerdo en la high school que las personas hacían
So you
eso,
did
se
that.
ponían peróxido en el cabello y se hacía anaranjado, amarillo.
And then she told me, oh, you have to re-dye it back. So I dyed it black and it turned green.
Y ella me dijo, te lo tienes que pintar otra vez. Me lo pinté negro y se hizo verde.
well, that's pretty popular color now.
Ese es un
No,
color
back
muy
then it
popular
wasn't.
ahora, pero antes no lo era.
Everybody laughed at me because my hair was green.
Todos se burlaban porque mi cabello era verde.
Well, now it would be the in thing, you know?
Yeah, that's...
So you were ahead of your time.
Estabas adelantada de tu tiempo, sí.
So then, so you got married at a young age,
Entonces ustedes se
did.
casaron jóvenes.
so
Sí.
you didn't have much of a childhood then.
Entonces no
really
tuviste
didn't.
una niñez.
So how old were you when you?
I was
¿Cuántos años tenías cuando te casaste?
14. We're going
Tenía
on to 15.
14, casi 15.
14. Oh, I didn't know.
Wow, yo no
That's-
sabía.
That's why these testimonies are so powerful to just to hear the stories of everybody.
Por
'cause
eso
we don't
estos
know, you know.
testimonios son muy poderosos,
Yeah, I'm
escuchar
still
las
with him
historias de las
23 years later.
personas.
23 years later.
Y todavía
Yeah.
sigo casada
Our
con él
anniversary
23
was
años
this
después.
Sunday, the 18th.
Nuestro
Oh,
aniversario
wow,
fue este domingo el
congratulations.
18. Felicidades.
Wow, so you became a mother at a very young age.
Entonces
Yeah.
fuiste madre a una edad muy temprana. Sí.
Actually 16, but when I got with him, I was we're together, and then I was pregnant, but I lost my baby. I
Oh,
was
you
like,
did.
Tenía
it was a boy.
16 años y cuando me
I forgot how many
estuve
months
con
I
él
was. I
tenía
think I was like
15.
4 or 5 months.
Oh.
Perdí mi bebé.
Yeah.
Tenía
Was
como
that,
4
at
o
that
5
young an
meses.
age, was that really kind of a hard thing to go through?
En esa
Yeah,
edad
because
fue
I didn't
eso
know what was
difícil
going
pasar
on.
eso.
You know, I was like, it was just like his family never. At first they accepted me, but afterwards, my mother-in-law, like, he doesn't have a relationship with his family at all, not even with
Sí,
his
fue
mom.
difícil porque al principio su madre no me
So
aceptó
it
y
was
él no
very
tiene una
rough.
relación
Like,
con ellos ni su
I
madre.
think I lost my baby because there was so much stress.
Yo creo que
because,
perdí a mi bebé porque había mucho estrés.
They try to fight me. They would steal stuff from me.
Me
Like,
trataban de
it was just-
pelear
it was
y me robaban
horrible.
cosas y era horrible.
Yeah, it was, and then if she would get mad, she would throw us in a small room where it was cold, no heater, it was
Y
pretty
si
bad.
ella se enojaba, nos
Oh my
aventaba en un
God.
cuarto que
I'm
estaba
like,
frío y que no
I
había
think
ni
about it, I'm like,
calentón.
how did I
How'd you
survive?
Y
you know?
ahora
Well-
pienso y pregunto, ¿cómo sobreviví?
It's amazing how God is with us when we don't know Him, you know. And
Es grandioso que Dios está con nosotros
And
cuando
then
no lo
I had got
conocemos.
pregnant again, so I lost that baby too.
Y después
So
volví a
it's just like-
embarazarme y
Two
perdí ese
miscarriages.
bebé también.
Yeah. So we're like back and forth, and I was kind of glad that now that I see it that happened, because if I had the baby, it would have, I don't know what would have happened.
Y ahora
You
entiendo que es
you weren't
porque
ready
pasó eso,
for-
porque si
Yeah, and
hubiera
then
tenido el bebé,
his family,
no
how
sé cómo hubieran
they
sido
were,
las
because
cosas.
then after that I got pregnant again with my third daughter. I mean, with my third child, and I did have her.
yeah.
Y después de eso me
But,
embaracé
So
otra
how
vez
were
con
you
mi
then?
tercera
I was
hija y sí la
16.
tuve. Y tenía
16, so
16
you-
años.
The first baby that you actually bore was you were 16
Entonces tu
years
primer
old.
bebé
but,
que
she was born,
nació tenías 16 años, sí.
she was born sick with her liver.
Y ella nació enferma de su
Yeah.
hígado.
So at first we didn't know because she was jaundiced, and like a couple months would pass by, and then I remember I was gonna go to Mexico, and the doctor called me. She's like, "No, you have to take her to the hospital." I'm like, "No, I'm going to Mexico." She's like, "You have to take her now. It's an emergency." So I had to take her. She was like 4 months, and she had to have surgery.
Wow.
Ella nació con jaundice y pasaron días y me habló el doctor y me dijeron que la tenía que llevar al
So about
hospital
16,
en una
you've been through a lot.
emergencia.
Yeah.
Entonces a los 16
That's
años
amazing.
pasaste por muchas cosas, sí.
And then I had to take care of my husband's nephew. He was
Y tuve que
Eight.
cuidar al sobrino de mi
So you were taking care of
esposo que
him.
tenía 8 años. Entonces tú lo estabas cuidando a él. Sí.
because his mom gave up rights because she didn't want to take care of him. She wanted to go out to the club.
Su
and
mamá dio sus
you know.
So
derechos
now
porque
you're
no lo
16
quería
and you're
cuidar, ella
taking
quería
care
salir
of your
al
husband's
club.
nephew.
Mhm.
Entonces tú tenías 16 años y le estabas también cuidando al sobrino otro esposo.
And then I would take care of my brother too because my mom would work.
Y
So
también
I
cuidaba a
had,
mi hermano
nobody
porque mi
would want to
madre
take care of him
trabajaba.
because he was bad. He was horrible. He was like, I don't know if you've seen the movie Dennis.
Oh, Dennis the Menace?
He
He
was,
was Dennis
Y
the
también
Menace?
tenía que
Yeah.
cuidar a mi hermano porque
As
mi
soon
mamá
as she would call,
trabajaba y
everybody was
nadie
like,
lo quería
"Click."
cuidar porque era muy malo.
the maids wouldn't even take
Nadie
care
lo
of
quería.
him because he would pop firecrackers and throw them and lock the door, lock them out.
Él era
and-
como Daniel el travieso.
Oh my gosh.
yeah, he was bad.
We need to make a movie out of this.
Tenemos que hacer una película de esto.
Wow.
Yeah, and he would only listen to me and my husband, like. And
Y él
But he
nada
would
más nos
listen to
hacía
you.
caso a mí y a mi esposa.
Wow. So you've got 3 children now. that you're
Tenías
taking
3
care of.
hijos.
And you're 16?
Y tenías 16 años.
Oh, wow.
And then I would go back and forth to the hospital. Like there was times where
Y siempre
I would
entraba y
stay
salía
like
al
3 months at a
hospital.
time and live there
Y a veces estaba ahí 3 meses y casi vivía ahí.
because she ended up having a liver transplant because she was so sick.
Y tuvo que de tener un
Yeah.
trasplante
She was
de
like
hígado
4
porque estaba
or
muy
5 months
enferma.
old?
She was, I think she was like 6 to 8 months.
Sick
Ella
and had a
tenía
liver
6 o 8
Mhm.
meses y tuvo un trasplante de riñón.
My goodness.
Yeah, so I went. I was actually
De
her
hígado,
nurse,
perdón.
so I would have to give her medicine. The nurse would come out to the house. She had like a special. It was a portacath in her heart where they wouldn't have to stick her all the time. So I would have to put a special dressing, special needle on her, and whenever she would get sick, she would have to go to the emergency room. And even the nurses there, they're like, "Well, we don't know what to do," you know, because they're like, "How do you do this?" So I would like just.
So
I
you
would
taught
just,
the nurses?
Yeah, I taught the nurses.
Y yo era su enfermera y a
Oh
veces
my
también
God.
venían enfermeras a la casa para checarla y ella tenía como un tubo y le tenían que cambiar jeringas y fue muy difícil.
Wow.
But yeah, she always had like tubes everywhere, so I would have to like watch her, take care of her. And
Y ella tenía tubos
it was
donde
hard.
quiera y yo tenía que cuidarla y fue muy
So
difícil.
all this is going on, you're 16, 17 years old.
Entonces todo eso está pasando y tú tienes 16, 17
Where is the
años.
Lord in the middle of this?
¿Dónde está el Señor
in your
en
life?
medio de
Well,
todo esto?
I really didn't know the Lord.
Bueno,
you know,
en realidad yo no
because
sabía
my
quién
family
era el
was
Señor.
Catholic, you know, so it was just like,
Mi
everybody
familia
was
era
always
católica
busy.
y todos siempre estaban ocupados.
so I knew there was a God, but not like, you know,
Yo
be-
sabía que había un Dios.
because I remember whenever I was younger, my friend, she would take me to her church. Like
Yo
I still
recuerdo que
remember
cuando
that
era más
church.
joven mi amiga me llevaba a su iglesia y aún recuerdo esa iglesia.
And it's not too far from me, but she would go to a different church, and I I would tell my family, why is she, why is it a difference? And they would get mad at me, like always cut me off, like, no, we're this religion and this is how it is.
Y yo le preguntaba a mi familia, ¿y por qué ella va a esa iglesia? Y ellos se enojaban y me decían, no, es que esta es nuestra religión y así son las cosas.
So they didn't appreciate you going to a Christian church.
Entonces ellos no apreciaban que tú fueras a una iglesia cristiana.
But did they take you to the Catholic church?
All the time.
Y ellos te llevaban a la iglesia católica todo
Yeah, I
el
would go
tiempo.
there, I would just sit there, I would just be like,
Yo iba y me sentaba
falling asleep, and I'm like,
durmiéndome.
and my mom would just, or
Y
she
mi
would
mamá me
pinch
daba
me,
un codazo o me
and I'm like, and then they would
un
say,
pellizco.
we need money for the electricity, this and that. And I'm like,
Y ellos decían,
why are they asking
necesitamos
us for
dinero para la
money?
electricidad. Y yo preguntaba, ¿por qué nos están pidiendo dinero?
And they would sing, and I'm like, boring. I'm
Y
like,
ellos cantaban y yo decía, qué aburrido.
because they were like, whoa, and I'm like, this is not my kind of music. So every time.
Is that what made you so rebellious?
Eso fue lo que
Yeah,
te
and they
hizo
would
muy
make me wear
rebelde.
dresses, and I hated dresses.
Y me
Like,
hacían
I
ponerme
love blue
vestidos
jeans,
y
I was
odiaba
like a
los
tomboy.
vestidos.
And then she's
Me
like,
gustaba ponerme
wear your
pantalones.
dress. And sometimes I would wear the dress, and I would just have my extra pair of clothes and go in there and change.
Y a veces yo me ponía el vestido, pero traía mi extra par de ropa y después iba y me cambiaba.
But yeah, she would always get mad at me because I was just, rebellious. And I'm like,
Y siempre se enojaba conmigo porque yo era muy rebelde.
I knew I was different. Like,
Yes.
I don't know, I just felt like it was something else different. Like,
Yo sabía que era
for me.
diferente y yo
Yeah.
sentía que había algo diferente.
You
para
knew it
mí.
wasn't that.
Yeah.
Tú sabías que no era eso.
I've got some comments here from Betty, my secretary. She says, Pastor, slow down. We can't hear Sinai. Yes, ma'am. She says the voices are overlapping. And Joanna sends a little icon there. I don't know.
Oh, she's like,
So she's watching.
well, she's supposed to be working.
Okay, Joanna, get back to work. Back to the salt mines. And then Juan says she needs to join the Christian mafia.
Juan dice, tiene que agregarse
The tough
a
girl.
la mafia
So
cristiana.
yeah, we have a Christian mafia here. Juan Munoz and Jesse Gray and
Tenemos
we have
una
a few
mafia
others.
cristiana
So
con
you
Juan
can join
Muñoz y
that,
Jesse
maybe.
Gray. Y a lo
Just-
mejor puedes meterte a ese grupo.
just don't beat them up, okay?
Nada más no los golpees.
Oh, my daughter Jocelyn said hi, and she said, put it on reverse, Terry.
Oh my goodness, my goodness. Yeah, one says just threw the twin under the bus. She's the fighter, the other's a dancer.
Acaban de poner a la gemela en el
So this is getting
descubierto.
totally
Ella
out
es
of
la
hand here,
peleonera y
you
la
know.
otra es la bailarina.
Mila says, wow, so young Jeanette and everything that happened to her and how God took care of her and was with her in the middle of the test.
Wow, muy joven Janet y todo lo que le pasó a ella y cómo Dios la cuidó y estuvo con ella en medio de esas pruebas.
And Ricardo Galarzo sends a big heart.
Y Ricardo Galarza manda un corazón.
Joanna sends, she says, I am. I don't know
Y
what
Joanna
makes
dice
what
que
that
sí lo
means.
está.
Huh?
She's working.
Oh, she is working. Okay.
Sí
I
está
guess
trabajando.
she's probably in her AirPod.
A lo
Yeah.
mejor trae sus audífonos.
Okay. Well, if you have comments, go ahead and send those in.
Si tienen comentarios, por favor,
So,
mándenlos.
when did you find the Lord, or when did He find you?
Entonces, ¿cuándo encontraste al Señor? ¿O cuándo Él te encontró?
Maybe it was in 2011 whenever I was working.
A lo mejor
But
creo que
before
fue en el
then-
2011 cuando yo trabajaba.
Oscar, Oscar Ramos.
Mhm.
¿Conoces a Oscar
Whenever my
Ramos?
daughter passed away, he was like, he would talk to me, and then, I did go to church with him for a little bit, and I was going to get baptized, but my mind was just so confused. Whenever my daughter passed away, I was angry. I was mad at God because it's like, why did you take her away? Why, I was mad.
Y cuando mi hija falleció, él
So you're
hablaba
talking
conmigo.
about the
y
one that had the transplant?
Cuando
Yeah, she
y
passed
yo,
away.
y yo
Passed away.
estaba enojada.
She was 3 years old. She
Ella
had
tenía
her
3
second
años.
transplant because the first one was,
Tuvo un segundo trasplante porque el primero
she actually had half, like it was an adult's liver, but they cut it in half because the liver can regenerate.
era un hígado de adulto, pero lo cortaron en la mitad porque un hígado se puede
So that was her
regenerar.
first liver. So the second one,
Y el segundo,
they had paged me because I had a pager. So anytime that pager would go off, it's because a liver was waiting.
y me
And then I
mandaron
didn't
un
hear
mensaje
it
por
that day.
pager.
But my husband came in and he's like, hey, they're calling from the hospital. You
Y mi
need to
esposo
go.
me dijo, están hablando del hospital,
And then
tienes que ir.
I believe it was a child's liver. So we went right away, and it wasn't her surgeon.
Y ese hígado era para un niño.
But that day that it wasn't her surgeon, like I felt like, I don't know, I felt different, like don't let her go, you know. And then that day that we left, she really didn't talk.
Y el
because she-
cirujano que estaba ahí no era el cirujano de ella. Yo sentía algo que me decía que no la dejara ir.
She really didn't talk, but she told my stepdad bye, pa, like, you know, that we were leaving.
Y ella no podía hablar, pero le dijo a mi padrastro, adiós, papá.
So whenever we left, they set her up and everything. I signed the consent, and then
Y yo firmé los
like,
papeles.
I remember holding on to her crib, and I told the surgeon, I'm
Y
like,
yo
I changed my
recuerdo
mind. I was like, I don't want to do this.
agarrarme
They're
de
like,
su
no, you
cuna y yo
can't.
dije, cambio de,
He's like,
de mente.
she has to go.
No quiero dejarla. Y él me
So
dijo, no
she
puedes,
went
la
for
tienes que
her
dejar.
transplant, and it took longer. I mean, it usually takes long, but I already knew how long it would take because she had like more than 10
Y este
surgeries
trasplante
throughout
tomó más
her
tiempo porque yo ya sabía
her
más o
3
menos
years
cuánto
of
tomaba.
life. And then I told him I don't want her to go, and
Y
he's
yo le
like, well,
dije,
we're
no quiero
leaving
que ella
already.
vaya.
So
Y
they
él le
went,
dijo, ya nos vamos.
and when she came back, you know, she was the machine was breathing for her.
Y cuando ya regresó, la máquina era la que
And
respiraba
then
por
they're
ella.
like, well, we don't see any flow of the blood through the liver, and they're like,
Y
we have
dijeron,
to
no
wait.
vemos
And
que
I'm like,
la
okay.
sangre está fluyendo
And
por el
then
hígado.
I would sleep with her in the ICU.
Y yo
There
dormía
was
con
like a
ella
little
en
couch, and that's where I would sleep.
en la terapia intensiva.
And then I remember I went to sleep, and in my dream I seen it was all white. It was real pretty, and she was
Y yo me
there.
fui a dormir y tuve un sueño que estaba todo blanco y ella estaba ahí.
And she was with like other kids playing, so she was wearing all white.
Y ella estaba jugando
was-
con otros niños y ella tenía vestido todo blanco.
And like I said, she didn't know how to talk.
Y ella no sabía hablar.
But in my dream, she's like, bye, mommy.
Pero en mi sueño ella decía, adiós,
And then I
mamá.
woke up, and then she couldn't move because she was strapped down.
Y yo me desperté y ella no se podía
And
mover
then
porque
I
la tenían
remember waking
amarrada.
up, and then I hear her kind of like take a big gasp
Y yo
and
recuerdo
moving.
que me desperté y la escuché respirar y se movió un poco.
And then she couldn't move because of the breathing tube.
Y ella no se podía mover por el tubo de que le daba oxígeno.
So I tried to call the nurse, but I couldn't reach the button. So I held her down with all my weight.
Y yo le traté de llamar a la enfermera,
But
pero
she
no
was-
podía alcanzar el botón y yo la agarré con toda mi peso.
And she was strong. So then finally I was able to call the nurse.
Y ella era fuerte y finalmente le pude hablar a la enfermera.
And then I told the nurse, and she's like, no, she can't move.
Y
That
yo le
she's
dije a la
intubated.
enfermera y ella dijo, ella no se puede mover, está entubada.
And I told her, yes, she moved. And then after that, they came in. They're like, well, we think she's brain dead.
Y después de eso vinieron y me
They told you
dijeron,
that?
creemos
They
que
told me that,
su
and I'm
cerebro
like,
está
what?
muerto. ¿Y
And
ustedes
I was,
dijeron eso? Y sí.
I would think it was like 18.
Y yo creo que yo
You were
tenía como
18.
18
Yeah,
años.
because I already had my second daughter. She was 8 months, Jocelyn.
Porque ya tenía mi segunda hija que tenía 8 meses.
So I would, whenever I would go to the hospital, I had to leave her behind with my
Y
mom and
cuando yo
be
iba
at
al
the
hospital,
hospital.
la tenía que dejar con mi mamá y estar en el hospital.
So I got all the family together, and they're like, well, that she was brain dead. They're like, you
Y
have
junté
to
a toda la
decide.
familia y les dije que su cerebro estaba muerto y teníamos que decidir.
They're like, you have to decide if you're going to take her off the machines or not, because we did several tests and she is brain dead.
Y
And
me dijeron, tienes que decidir si la vas a quitar de las máquinas o no, porque hicimos diferentes exámenes y sí lo está.
so like right there, my heart was crushed. I'm like, well, we had to decide. Like, you know, she was, and I told them she's moving, like her fingers and stuff. They're like, no, that's just the muscles.
Y ahí tuvimos que decidir, mi corazón fue quebrantado en ese momento y yo les decía, ella se está moviendo, y ellos decían, no, son sus músculos.
But I knew she had passed because of the dream.
Y yo
you know.
sabía que ella ya había fallecido por el sueño.
So we all decided, okay, you know, we're not going to let her suffer.
Entonces todos decidimos, no la vamos a dejar sufrir.
So they disconnected her and everything, and they gave her to me, and you know,
Y la
I just
desconectaron y todo y me la dieron.
remember screaming
Y yo recuerdo gritar
because I was mad.
porque yo estaba enojada.
Like, why? So
Como, ¿por qué?
my husband was mad too, so he left me there. And they're like,
Mi esposo
we're
estaba enojado
gonna,
también.
they
Y ahí me
disconnected her, so I
dijeron-
was just screaming at the doctors and telling them stuff.
Y yo les gritaba a
And they
los
told me, you
doctores y
have
les
to be
decía
quiet, you know,
cosas.
you're gonna scare everybody.
Y me dijeron, tienes que
So then
callarte porque
he
vas
left,
a
and I stayed there
asustar
for a
a
little bit
todos.
and just went back home. And then at the funeral, Oscar did talk to me. So then,
Y en el funeral, Oscar habló conmigo
and he would talk to my husband too.
y él hablaba
And
con mi esposo también.
just my husband, he just like he ended up leaving.
Porque mi esposo se
He left
fue.
me with the 8-month-old because he was just angry.
Y
You know,
él me
he was
dejó
just
con mi
angry at
hija de 8
everybody.
meses porque él estaba muy
Because
enojado.
that was his first baby girl, his first child, and that was his everything.
Porque esa era su primera
So
hija
from there,
y
he
era su
changed a
todo.
lot.
Y después de ahí él cambió mucho.
Wow. So you're 18 years old. You lost. You've had 2 miscarriages.
Entonces tienes
Then you
18
lose
años y has perdido 2 bebés.
Your firstborn,
Y pierdes
You
a
have
tu
an
primer
8-month-old.
nacido. Tienes una de 8
and
meses.
now your husband decides to leave because he can't really handle the situation.
Y ahora tu esposo decide irse porque no puede con la situación.
It was rough, but I mean,
Fue difícil, pero...
and then I was mad at God because it's like, you know, I blamed him. Why?
Yeah.
Y yo estaba enojada
So
con
the
Dios
years
y yo le
passed
echaba
by,
la culpa.
and then I ended up working, and then where I worked at, it was
Y pasaron los años y donde trabajaba yo,
there was a Christian family
había una
there,
familia cristiana.
and it was their friends too. So I get along with everybody. So they would always come up talking to me, and the manager at that time, she was my best friend. She would get mad
Y
because
yo me
you're like,
llevaba muy bien con ellos y ellos hablaban conmigo y yo me llevaba muy bien con la manager.
because she said I was too friendly, and you know, they would come talk to me and everything. And after a while, they got really, really comfortable. And I remember him asking me if I accepted the Lord, and he did the prayer with me and everything, and I said it.
Y ellos se pusieron, yo me puse muy cómodos con ellos y después él vino y me preguntó que si yo había aceptado a Cristo y le dije que no y él oró conmigo.
So then I did accept them, and then just, you know, all the time they would always come pray for me and
Y sí
everything.
lo acepté y siempre venían y oraban por mí.
And then just one day I was driving, and I was listening to the radio,
Y una vez yo estaba manejando y estaba escuchando la radio
and it was in Spanish. And then it was a story about a little girl who had cancer, and then the mom would ask, "Where were you, God?"
y,
You know?
y era la historia de una niña que tuvo cáncer y la mamá preguntaba, ¿dónde estabas tú, Dios?
And then the little girl ended up passing away, and she wrote a letter to her mom saying that
Y la
God
niña
was there with
falleció
her.
y ella le escribió una carta a su mamá diciendo sí que Dios estuvo con ella
that he was there all the time with her, and that's why she really didn't suffer. So when I heard that,
y
it
que
kind
Dios
of,
estuvo con
you know,
ella todo
made
el tiempo y
sense.
por eso ella no sufrió y cuando
know,
yo escuché
so-
eso hizo sentido.
So little by little, like, you know, I would just, you know, they would come to me, and then they would pray,
Y
and
poco a
it's
poco
just,
ellos venían conmigo y lloraban.
it was kind of hard because my husband, he was just like a little more like tough skin,
Y era más difícil porque mi
Resistant.
esposo
Yeah,
era más
because
resistente.
he's been out, like whenever he was little, he would tell me that he's been out in the streets since he was 3 years old.
Y él me platicaba que
Because
él
of his
estaba en las
family,
calles
the
desde
way
que tenía
he
3
was.
años.
So he
Wow.
had a super rough childhood, and then
Entonces él
he
tuvo
kind
una
of like,
niñez súper
at
difícil.
times he would just get angry and then just kind of like put it out on me, you know.
Y a veces él se enojaba
was-
y se soltaba conmigo.
Our relationship was very rough.
Y nuestra relación fue
So,
muy,
like-
muy difícil.
Wow.
A couple years recently.
Hasta hace unos años atrás.
So you've kind of been through quite a bit, girl. I had no idea of all this.
Entonces
Yeah.
tú has pasado por muchas cosas. Yo
Ajá.
no tenía idea de todo esto.
That's one of the reasons I like doing these programs, because I think it lets our church know who we are, you know?
Y por eso me gusta
Mm.
hacer estos programas porque muestra a nuestra
Yeah.
iglesia quiénes somos.
Almost everybody that's come on here has been really very open. You've been very open with all the pain and stuff that you've gone through. It's very difficult.
Yeah.
Y
And,
casi todas las
um,
personas que han venido han sido muy honestos y muy abiertos y tú has sido muy honesta.
and for a while I had a lot of hate for my husband because it's just the way he would act, and I was like,
Y
you
por
know,
mucho tiempo yo tenía mucho
we're-
odio contra mi esposo por la forma en que él era.
and we're almost gonna get a divorce, and he would always tell me, we're gonna get a divorce, we're gonna
Y
get a
casi nos
divorce.
divorciábamos y él siempre me decía, vamos a divorciarnos y nos vamos a divorciar.
But I don't know what got into him, and he's changed a lot. Like he would get mad because I would even come to church. Like he would get angry.
Y yo no sé qué le pasó porque él se enojaba y hasta porque yo venía a la iglesia, se
He's
enojaba
like,
mucho.
If you keep going to church, I'm gonna divorce you. I'm like,
Y
fine.
él me decía, si
I'll
sigues
just
yendo a la iglesia te voy a divorciar.
throw stuff and leave. I'm like, I'm going to church.
Y yo le decía, está bien, pero yo me iba a la iglesia.
Yeah, and then I don't know, all of a sudden he just started changing, and I'm like, he would start buying me like donuts and he's like special little cakes. I'm like, are you poisoning me?
Y de nada empezó a cambiar
I
y
really
me
told him
compraba
that.
hasta donas y yo
He's
le
like,
decía, ¿me
"Eat
estás tratando de
one."
envenenar?
And I'm like, are you
Y él
okay?
decía, come una. Y yo decía, ¿estás bien?
And I'll just look at the cake and I'm like,
Y yo vi el pastelito y lo
The
revisaba.
poison donut routine.
he's like,
yes.
why would I
Una
waste
dona envenenada.
a perfectly good little
donut.
Y él
donut,
decía, ¿por qué voy
like,
a
and
echar a
poison
perder
you?
una dona perfecta?
Yeah, I'm like, why are you being so nice?
Y yo decía, ¿por qué estás siendo tan bueno?
And I'm like, are you okay?
¿Estás bien?
And I would tell my mom, I was like, he's being super nice. I'm like, am I gonna die?
Y yo le decía, le está siendo muy bueno.
I'm like,
Quizá que me
what's
iré a
going
morir.
on? And then I would lay down and I'm like, with one eye, I'm like,
Y cuando dormía, me dormía con un ojo abierto.
or turned the other way. I'm like,
Oh my
I'm
goodness.
like, is he
you're,
okay?
You're funny.
But no,
Eres
he's,
divertida.
So obviously he didn't kill you.
No,
Obviamente
I'm
no
still
te
alive.
mató.
You're still
No,
alive.
sigo viva.
he's just been acting a lot more different.
Él ha estado
And
actuando
then he's
diferente.
like, oh, I want to renew our vows and get married. And I'm like,
Y él me dijo, quiero
I'm not
renovar
getting
nuestros
married in a
votos y
courthouse. I'm like,
casarnos
if I'm
otra
getting
vez.
married, it's at church.
Y yo le dije, yo no me voy a casar en la corte. Si me caso, voy a casarme en la iglesia.
And I told him, you'll have to start coming to church. He's like,
Y
okay.
le dije, tendrás que empezar a venir a la
And I'm
iglesia.
like-
Y él dijo, ok.
Okay, I'm like, you're acting a little strange, but
Y yo
okay.
dije, estás actuando un poco raro,
But
pero
no, I know it's,
está
it's,
bien.
the, it's the Lord
listen,
working.
I know, but all the things I've been seeing with so many different families, God's doing things.
Yo
Yeah,
sé
I
por
feel
las
it.
cosas que he visto que Dios está haciendo en diferentes familias, que
fact,
Él se está moviendo.
Last night after church, I was praying with a young girl here for her father to come to church.
Anoche yo oraba por una jovencita que viniera a su
salvation for him.
padre a la iglesia y por la salvación.
And she went back and checked her phone, and 20 minutes before we prayed, he had already texted and said he was coming to church on Sunday.
Y ella checó su teléfono 20 minutos antes de orar y él dijo que venía a la iglesia el domingo.
And it's amazing what's going on right now.
Y es asombroso lo
And
que está pasando ahorita.
Really get your faith up and believe for restoration. Amen. And new
Tenemos,
Yeah, 'cause
beginning.
esto
I do-
incrementa la fe y nos hace creer en restauración.
I do feel like it's a big change, and I know the enemy. He's been
Yeah,
he's
he's not
been
happy.
trying to bring me down like
Yeah.
a lot, like
Ha habido
even
mucho
during my
cambio. Yo sé
surgeries.
que el enemigo ha tratado de bajarme la moral.
And even like it's been about 2 years where they found that I had colon cancer.
Ya hace como 2 años que encontraron que tenía cáncer de colon.
Yeah, because I remember you were praying for somebody. It was on Father's Day.
Y yo
'Cause I
recuerdo
remember I
que
was
tú
in the
orabas por
altar.
alguien en el Día de los
And,
Padres.
You were praying for cancer to get out the body,
Y
everything.
tú
So
orabas que saliera el cáncer del cuerpo.
I remember that day. It was Father's Day, so my mom cooked, and she doesn't cook very good.
Y yo recuerdo ese día era
She
el
taught
Día de
you how
los
to cook, but she
Padres.
doesn't
Mi
know
mamá
how.
hizo
Oh, not
de
anymore.
cocinar,
She
pero ella
just-
no sabe cocinar
Maybe
tan
she
I
bueno.
just-
always have to
like
go
it.
over there and like add spices. Like I have to buy her spices all the time. I'm like,
Ella te enseñó a cocinar, pero no cocina bien. No, en
My
realidad
kids
no,
won't even
yo
eat her
voy y
food.
yo le agrego mi sazón. Mis hijos ni se comen su comida
You're
tampoco.
funny.
they rather
Eres
eat ramen
divertida.
noodles. I'm
Ellos
serious.
prefieren comer sopa
I hope your mom's
maruchan.
not watching.
Oh,
Espero
no.
que tu mamá no esté viendo.
Oh, she'll tell you she don't know how to cook.
She
O
may
ella
never
te
see
dirá
you
que ella no
again.
sabe hacer de comer.
So I went home and I was like, oh, she must have not cooked something good. My stomach was twisting and turning.
Y yo fui a
Like,
la casa y dije, ay, a lo
really
mejor no
bad.
hizo
I
algo
felt
de
like
comer
if I was,
bien,
like,
me
kinda
dolía el
having a baby.
estómago y me daba vuelta. Como si hubiera tenido un bebé.
And I was like, oh my gosh, I was like, it must have been her food. So all of
Y
a
yo
sudden
dije, "A lo
I
mejor fue
went to
su
the
comida."
restroom and I just, like, a lot of blood came out.
Y fue al baño y salió
And
mucha
something
sangre.
came out like a size of a quarter. And I'm
Y
like,
algo salió del tamaño de una
Remember you told me.
yeah.
quarter.
I remember
And
that.
then I'm like, I got it and I'm like, you know, this is too much. Like the whole week I kept bleeding and bleeding. So finally I went to the
Y
doctor.
yo dije, esto es mucho. Toda la semana seguí sangrando y sangrando y finalmente fui al doctor.
So I tried to save whatever it was, but the smell was horrible.
Y yo
So I
traté
had
de
to throw it
guardar eso,
away.
pero el olor era
But I
horrible,
wanted to
entonces
take
lo
it to
tuve
the
que
doctor to
tirar.
get it tested, but I couldn't. So I showed the doctor. He's like, I don't know what that is.
Y yo le mostré al doctor y él dijo, yo no sé qué es eso.
So it was like, you know how skin tags that you get them on your neck? Well, it was a
Something like-
whole bunch of them. Like it was like a size of a quarter, and all around it was like a whole bunch of skin tags, like a lot. And then he's like, well, I'm going to refer you to the specialist. I'm like, I need to go. So I went to the specialist. He didn't even know what it was because I had took a picture of it.
Y fue al especialista y él ni sabía lo que era. Y le tuve que mandar una foto.
I'm trying to obey what Betty told me so she doesn't get on to me. Okay.
So when I went to the specialist, he's like, well, I'm going to do a
Y
colonoscopy.
cuando fui con el especialista me dijo, voy a hacer una colonoscopía.
So while I was in there, it took a little bit longer because my daughter, she was waiting for me.
Y tomó largo porque mi hija me estaba esperando.
But the doctor's like, well, you stopped breathing during a normal colonoscopy. And
Y
that's
el
why it
doctor
took
me
longer.
dijo, tú dejaste de respirar en la colonoscopía y por eso tomó más
Yeah,
tiempo.
so I woke up and then he's like, well, I'll call you in like 3-4 days.
Y yo desperté y él me dijo, te llamo en 3 o 4 días.
So he calls me and he's like, well, just to let you know, it was cancer.
Y me llamó y me dijo, pues solamente para avisarte que sí era cáncer.
So it's like a tiny bit still there. He's like, well, I took it out
Y
and
quedaba un poco y yo lo saqué
and burned it off. And then
y lo
when
quemé.
whenever he told me that, I was like thinking in my head, you didn't do this. I'm like, I just went along. I'm like, okay. But
Y yo en mi cabeza decía, él no hizo eso, pero yo le seguía la corriente.
And I started crying of emotion, like, you know, I knew that
God.
day it was God. He's
God.
like,
Y
you know,
empecé a
you're
llorar de
praying.
emoción y yo sabía que ese día había sido Dios.
So like that whole week, I just like, my mind was just like, what?
Y toda esa semana mi
Oh
mente
my
no lo
God.
podía
I remember
creer.
now. I'd forgotten about that.
Y
Yeah.
yo recuerdo ahora,
I
me
remember.
había olvidado de eso.
And then I was just like amazed that it's like that he took it out and it was just like a little bitty bit. He's like, I
Estaba
just have to
asombrada
go
que
every
la había
3 years.
sacado y era poquito.
So God maybe left a little thing just to show everybody.
Y a lo mejor Dios dejó un
Yeah,
poco
but,
you
para
know,
enseñarle a los demás.
I was like surprised that the doctors didn't even know what it was. I'm like,
Yo
how
estaba
can you
sorprendida
not
que los
know?
doctores no sabían lo que
Wow.
era, como ustedes no saben.
I
qué
knew what it
es?"
was because
Yeah.
when I seen it, I'm like, this is not normal.
Y
Because,
yo
Yeah.
sabía que era porque cuando lo vi yo sabía que no era normal.
That's amazing. Yeah.
and he's
See,
like,
God does miracles
Y
still.
eso es asombroso y
Heals
Dios
and
aún
delivers.
sigue haciendo
Amen.
milagros.
yeah. So
Amén.
from that day, I'm like, you know, I'm like, the
Praise
enemy's
the
trying to break me down because he knows that if me and my husband, you know, if he starts coming to church, like he's a very sweetheart.
Y
Like,
el
you know,
enemigo
he's
needs to be-
always,
está tratando
he needs to be healed.
de bajarme
He
porque
needs
él
to
sabe
be
que si mi esposo viene a la iglesia,
Wow.
las cosas van a
because
ser
every time I go to the
diferentes.
store, he's like, oh, you want to get those for the kids at church for like, you know.
Y ahora
really?
y cada vez
Yeah,
que vamos
whenever
a
I
la
come to
iglesia
church.
y ve snacks, me dice, ¿te los
We
quieres
call him
llevar
JR, but his name's
para
Dennis.
los niños de la
Dennis.
iglesia?
Yeah.
Dennis the
¿Cuál es
Menace?
su nombre? Lo llamamos Dennis.
Yeah, he was
Wow.
bad too.
He was bad too.
Yeah.
Wow, this is a tremendous, I mean, golly,
Esto es
tremendous
tremendo,
test-
es
But
tremendo.
Listen, you've been through a lot.
Yeah.
But man, I think God is ready to do great things, girl.
Yeah.
Y has pasado
and
por muchas
'Cause he's
cosas y
letting
yo
you
creo
know
que Dios
who he
va a hacer
is.
cosas grandes.
baby steps, but I'm like, I can do baby steps with my husband because it's like if I rush him,
Just-
then he's.
Yeah,
Yo
just
tengo que hacer pasos
just
pequeños
sit
con mi
back and
esposo
watch-
porque si
watch-
lo
I'm usually not a
empujo,
patient person,
yeah,
but
just
No.
watch the parade
tengo
Yeah.
que ser paciente.
and get ready. We're going to start praying for Dennis.
Vamos a empezar a orar por Dennis.
Okay, we're going to start praying for Dennis.
Vamos a
yeah,
empezar
because
a
he
orar
says
por
he does
Dennis.
want to come, but he works at night. Like right now, he's asleep,
Uh-huh.
Y él dice que él quiere venir, pero trabaja de noche. Ahora
so we'll
está
have to work
dormido.
that out.
Well, the Lord knows how to
Yeah.
wake him
know.
up
El Señor sabe cómo despertarlo.
and get him here, so
Y que
God
llegue
can do
aquí.
that. Wow, so wow, God's really done a lot. You've had a lot of bad things happen, but God is working all this for something really special, I think.
Yeah, I
Te han
felt-
pasado muchas cosas, pero Dios está usando todo esto para algo muy especial.
I felt like if my daughter wouldn't pass away, I wouldn't have known God.
Yeah.
Yo sé que si mi hija no hubiera fallecido, yo no hubiera conocido a Dios.
So it's like she had her life had to how can I explain it? For her to pass away, for us to kind of
Yeah.
understand, you know,
El que
and
ella
know God.
falleció fue para
Because
que
if not,
nosotros
I probably
entendiéramos y
would have still been
conociéramos a
stuck
Dios.
there, you know,
Yeah.
being Catholic.
Porque si no, todavía
Yeah,
hubiera sido
absolutely.
católica.
Well, you know, the scripture just keeps coming over and over in my mind for the last few weeks about Moses saying, Lord, let me know your ways that I can know you. And the ways of the Lord, they're just different than our ways.
Y esta escritura viene a mi mente estos últimos días de Moisés diciendo, Señor, déjame conocer tus
He
caminos.
sees things totally different.
Yeah, because even
Ve
with
las cosas diferentes.
his family is so much hate, like a lot of hate, and he doesn't talk to them, and they always think that it's me, so they hate me.
Yeah.
Y su familia tiene mucho odio y él no
Wow.
habla con ellos y ellos creen que
Wow.
soy
And
yo,
he
entonces
just
ellos
recently
me
made it
odian
clear
a mí.
He's like, it's not Jeanette that's telling me to stay away from y'all. It's me. I don't want to be around y'all.
Y él les dijo, no es Jeanette
Well,
la que me está
listen,
preveniendo de
I
acercarme a
know God's
ustedes, soy yo. No quiero estar
know God's getting
alrededor
ready
de
to do
ustedes.
something. You just get ready.
Yo sé
You
que
get-
Dios
you get ready,
está,
girl.
está a punto de hacer
You
algo.
get
Tú
ready, okay?
alístate.
You're going to see something.
Tú vas a ver algo.
God's going to. So how did you get here?
Entonces, ¿cómo llegaste aquí?
Well, Betty, she had her Herbalife, so my sister knew her. So I would go time to time over there too. So then
Mi hermana conocía a Betty por Herbalife y yo iba ahí de vez en cuando.
I was just like honestly trying to look for a church, but then I'm like, where am I going to go? I don't
Y
know
yo buscaba una
anybody.
iglesia, pero yo decía, ¿dónde voy a ir si no conozco a
So
nadie?
my sister started coming here, and then she invited me.
Y mi hermana empezó a venir aquí y me
Well, I
invitó.
heard she was going, and I was like, you know what, I want to go with you. So
Y
that's
yo
how I
escuché que ella
started.
venía y yo le dije, yo quiero ir contigo, y así empezó.
So we knew Betty and Jose from Herbalife.
Entonces
Oh,
conocimos
okay.
a Betty y a
And that's- so how long
José
you been
por
here now?
Herbalife. Entonces,
4
¿cuánto
years.
tiempo tienes
Boy, has it
aquí?
been that long?
I know. I was like,
4
wow,
años.
Wow, it doesn't seem like that long.
Ha pasado
Wow,
mucho tiempo
praise
y
the
no
Lord.
parece.
It's always
Gloria a Dios.
interesting to find out how people got here. It's really kind of interesting for the reasons and how God orchestrates everything.
Es
to get people here.
interesante cómo la gente llega aquí, cómo Dios orquestra las cosas para que
And
lleguen
you're
aquí.
working in children's ministry.
Yes.
¿Trabajas en el Ministerio de los
Yeah,
Niños? Sí.
I think it's like third and fourth now, the older kids.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
De tercer y
they're
cuarto
something
grado.
else. I love them though.
Yeah.
Los amo.
Cool.
Yeah, they ask a lot of questions,
Hacen muchas preguntas.
and they're funny.
I
Y
know.
son
I
graciosos.
always loved it when I was teaching kids, man.
And I
Yo
go
sé,
home
yo
and I'm like,
amaba
oh,
cuando
my
yo
back, because
enseñaba a
I'm
los
usually
niños.
jumping around with them.
Y cuando llego a casa
I
estoy
spent all
diciendo
my
mi
time
espalda
praying
porque
for-
estaba brincando con ellos.
I was teaching third grade boys, and they say, pray for my Kermit crab and pray for my big toe.
Yeah,
and-
they.
Y cuando yo enseñaba a los niños de tercer grado decían, ora por mi cangrejo, ora por mi dedo gordo.
And it's amazing how parents think like, oh, they don't listen, but
They
man, they're always like, pray for my dad, my mom, and they're small and
Y
they're
los padres
asking
piensan
for
que
those
los
prayers.
niños
They
no
but
know what-
escuchan,
parents,
pero ellos
they
dicen,
know-
ora
they-
por mi papá,
and
ora por
sometimes
mi
the parents
mamá.
don't realize it, but whenever they're with somebody else, they just like, you know, just.
You want to find out what's going on at home, teach kids in Sunday school.
Si quieres saber lo que pasa en el hogar, enseña a los niños
Yeah,
en
sometimes
la
they're
escuela
very
dominical.
honest, too honest, and I'm like, oop,
A
okay.
veces son demasiados honestos.
Yeah, they say some stuff, and I'm like, oh my god, I'm just like laughing, and I'm like,
Y a
I have
veces
to like
dicen
kind
unas
of
cosas que me hacen reír.
not try to laugh too much.
Tengo que no tratar de reírme tanto.
That's your phone. You have a loud phone.
Tu teléfono es
That
muy
thing is
ruidoso.
loud. Well, some more. You got to leave at 1:20, and it's 1:24, so we went over. So let
Tienes
me
que ir a la
read these real
1:20 y
quick.
ya son las 1:20.
Griselda sends a big heart. Joanna,
Griselda manda un corazón
and
grande.
Joanna says, I'm a multitasker.
Y Joanna dice que puede hacer dos cosas a la vez.
Is she as funny as you?
Ella es chistosa como tú.
Oh, we get in trouble like if we're in the service. If George is there, we're all three of us like
Oh,
laughing because the
that-
stuff you're saying. I'm like, I have to kind of get
Si
away
George
from
y yo
this.
estamos en el servicio
And I have
juntos,
to
nos
kinda
tenemos
nudge my
que
sister, like,
mover del lugar
you know?
porque nos
So that's
estamos
what's going
riendo.
on out there.
Entonces
Yeah.
eso es lo
Well,
que
you
pasa.
gotta
Because
watch-
you make us laugh, and then we're just like,
Es que nos
Yeah.
hace reír.
but no,
George
we're-
probably doesn't help much, you know.
Yeah,
Y
that's
George
why I'm
no
like,
ayuda al
I kind
caso.
of have to stay away from the crowd.
Y por eso me tengo que alejar.
I'm going to do like they did in school and separate the kids.
Voy a tener que hacer lo que hacen en
So
la
if I
iglesia y
see y'all
separar,
sitting too
separar
close
los
together, I'm going
niños.
to move you.
Y si los veo sentados
That's
muy
funny.
juntos, los voy a mover.
Mila says the little angel went to heaven with the Lord.
Mila
your
dice,
daughter.
el angelito fue al cielo con el
And
Señor.
Jessica Ruiz sends a big heart.
Jessica Rojas manda un
Angeles
corazón grande.
says, what a sad and painful experience with your baby.
Ángeles dice, qué triste y dolorosa experiencia con tu bebé.
And Araceli says, very good translation. Good
Araceli
job,
dice, buena
Sinai."
traducción.
In spite of all of our failures here,
A pesar de todas
talking too fast.
las fallas de hablar muy rápido.
Let's see. Angela says, I've learned to love these two girls very much. Days ago, we had interesting talks.
He aprendido a amar estas dos muchachas mucho. Hace unos días tuvimos unas pláticas muy interesantes.
Araceli says, thank you, Sinaí, for your excellent work.
Araceli
Did you pay her or something?
dice, gracias Sinaí por tu excelente
You didn't
trabajo.
pay her for that, did
¿Le
you?
pagaste algo?
Joanna says, she did. I told her to be nice to him.
Joana dice, sí, yo le dije que fuera buena con él.
And Angela says, haha, you're very funny. God is doing many beautiful things in your husband and all of you.
Dice, eres muy chistosa, Dios está haciendo muchas cosas hermosas en tu esposo. Y
I know I even got popular with the kids because the BBS, I was, all the junk food and
You bring
everything.
that's the
y me
way.
hice
Bring them gummy
popular con los
bears. man.
niños en el
They're
BBS
like, what are you
con
going to
todos
cook
los
for
snacks
us?
que yo
I'm
les
like,
traía.
I won't be in the kitchen till like almost the end of the month.
Y ellos decían, ¿qué nos vas a hacer de comer? Y yo les
So
decía,
they're
no
like,
voy a
oh,
estar
can
en la
you cook
cocina hasta el
this?
fin del
And we
mes.
want this. I'm like, okay,
So
well,
you-
he was there.
So you bribed the kids, right?
No, like it was that day that we all cooked for them and they loved it. They're like, we don't want it. They didn't want to leave.
Fue el día
Yeah.
en que les
Neither
cocinamos y
did
ya no
I.
se
I was
querían ir a su
like,
casa.
I
Yo tampoco.
literally cried because I'm like, oh, I'm not gonna be back. So now I wake up super early and I'm like, what to do? I'm
Y
We
yo
have
lloré
BBS
y ahora me despierto muy
Every
temprano
month,
y
I
no sé
guess,
qué
don't
hacer.
we?
Tenemos que hacer BBS cada mes, dice el pastor.
Betty said, I love you, Pastor. Yeah, right. She's trying to make up for getting on to me now. I know her. And she says, love you so much, my Twinkie. She's talking to you. You and your husband have a huge testimony. Can't wait to see him serving the Lord. Amen, Betty.
Amen.
That's going to happen.
Amén, Betty, eso va a
Amen.
pasar.
We're going to pray for him before we
Betty
end the
dice,
program.
te amo, pastor, te amo mucho, mi Twinkie, tú y tu esposo tienen un testimonio muy grande, no puedo verlo, no puedo esperar a verlo servir al Señor.
And Enon says, our pains and struggles become his glory. Amazing testimony. Love to hear our church family stories.
Nuestros
Amen.
dolores se hacen su gloria, un testimonio grandioso. Amo escuchar las historias de nuestra familia.
And Leonore, our technician here today, I wish y'all could see her. We have the AC on at 74. She's got a hoodie on. She looks like, one of the guys that goes in the stores and robs the stores and walks out with all the
Quisiera que vieran a
stuff,
Leonora
what do you
ahorita.
call
Trae
this?
una gorra con su chamarra porque tiene frío. Se ve como uno de
She's
los
got
que
a
van a
hoodie
robar
on
las
and
tiendas.
because she's cold.
Trae su gorra porque tiene
If y'all
frío.
could just see what goes on up here. She says, wow, Jeanette, I have nothing but good things to say about you and so much respect for you. You're such a joyful, giving, noble person. I pray God will restore you and your marriage 100%.
Dice, wow, Janet, yo no tengo nada más que decir y tengo mucho respeto. Eres muy feliz y dadosa y noble. Oro que Dios restaure tu matrimonio y a ti al 100%.
And Mila says, great testimony, Jeanette. Thanks for sharing with us. You're a strong lady and God loves you so much.
Grande testimonio, Janet. Gracias por compartir con nosotros.
Are you
Eres
glad you
una
came
mujer
on?
fuerte
Yeah.
y Dios te ama mucho.
I am too.
¿Te da gusto
Man,
estar aquí?
I
Sí.
did not know all of this.
Wow, yo no sabía todo esto.
And man, when you see the stories of people's lives, you see the grace and mercy of God in the end.
Y cuando tú escuchas las historias,
You know,
tú ves la gracia y misericordia de Dios al
And,
final.
sometimes He allows us to go through some bad things.
Y a veces Él
Yes.
permite que pasemos por cosas malas.
And when I see, all of us complain sometimes, like, Lord, why did you let this happen and when did this happen? But when I hear like your story,
Yeah,
Y a
that's
veces
what one of
renegamos
things.
nosotros de
I
cosas
go,
y decimos, Señor, ¿por qué dejas
Lord,
que esto
forgive
pasa?
me.
Pero cuando escucho unas historias como
For
tú,
getting
yo
upset
digo,
about
Señor,
nothing.
perdóname por enojarme por nada.
when I hear what like you've gone through,
Cuando
it's
escucho
amazing.
las cosas como alguien como tú ha
Yeah, now
pasado.
when things happen, I'm just like,
Yeah,
things happen for a reason. I'm just like, okay.
yeah.
Y ahora cuando pasan
Well,
cosas, yo digo, las cosas
The
pasan por
fact that you
algo.
went through this at such a young age,
El que tú hayas pasado por esto muy
I
joven.
know God has something really special in store for you.
Yo sé que Dios tiene
Really.
algo muy
I'm
especial
not
por,
just saying that. I mean, I
guardado
know.
Yeah,
por ti.
I can
I've
tell.
been feeling that
Yeah, get
a
ready.
lot lately, and even like in my like lately, I've been having dreams like,
Yo he sentido eso mucho
and
últimamente y he tenido
honestly,
sueños.
some of them have, well, mostly all of them, they've been coming true. Like
Y
I'll
casi
dream
todos se
about
han
something and
hecho
I'll tell that
realidad.
person, and they kind of like look at me like, oh, you're weird, you know. And I'm like,
Y tengo un sueño y
hey,
le digo a
look,
la
I'm just
persona y me
letting you
ven
know.
raro.
I'm like, I don't know what's going on, or you know, I don't want to have that in my conscience. I'm gonna let you know what
Yeah.
I dreamt.
Wow.
Y yo
And
les digo,
even
pues yo no sé, eso fue lo que soñé.
in my dreams, like I've been like smaller kids, like praying over them, and then some have like where they're dying, and like, you know, I pray over them and they come back. Like it's
Entonces
Wow.
veo
just
a
Well,
niños
when I'm asleep, I'm like
enfermos o niños
traveling,
que están muriendo.
Yeah.
you know, and I
Y
wake
tengo
up
que
and I'm
orar por
like,
ellos.
that's
Lord's probably showing you some things that's going to be
yeah.
happening.
It's lately it's been a lot,
A lo
like
mejor el
very
Señor te está
strong.
enseñando cosas que van a
Amen.
pasar.
Well, just get ready for God
I'm like, I
to...
can't keep up with everything. Like I
Prepárate.
can't write everything down because there's times I do remember and I don't
Hay
remember.
muchas
Yeah.
cosas y no puedo escribirlo todo.
Wow. This is... Man, I've enjoyed this today.
Yo he
This
disfrutado
has
esto
been really
hoy.
good,
Ha
Jeanette.
sido muy bueno.
And I really admire you. After hearing this, I was like, oh my gosh.
Y yo realmente te
You're-
admiro
you're
después de escuchar
pretty-
esto.
Pretty strong lady. Woman of strong convictions.
Eres una
Amen.
mujer de fuertes convicciones.
And we're going to see your husband here, and I believe you and him both are going to be serving God.
Y vamos a
And
ver
we're
a tu
gonna see it
esposo
soon.
aquí. Y yo creo que tú y él
I
van a
believe that
servir al
too.
Señor. y
You know,
pronto.
and you see all the junk that's going on in the world.
Y tú ves toda la basura
And-
que está pasando en el
And
mundo.
a lot of it's really, really bad.
And he sees that, you know, how come people are like so evil. And
Yeah.
I mean, he may have, like, he has really, really tough skin, but then I'm like, I know you, you know, and it's like down deep inside, you're
Right.
you're just putting that
The
shield.
wall.
Yo lo
It's
conozco,
protected.
él puede aparentar
Well,
como que es muy fuerte, pero dentro de él
See,
yo sé que él es
we
diferente.
have to look at like what God is doing. We see all the stuff in the world, the political scene, the medical,
Vemos todo
all
lo
the junk that we
político,
see,
todo lo
which
que
is
está
so bad.
pasando.
But look what God is doing.
Pero miremos lo que el
Yeah,
Señor
because
está
he sees
haciendo.
that, because where he works is he does forklifts, so it's dangerous, and he almost got killed last time.
Y él
He's
ve
like,
eso donde él
jumped.
trabaja con forklifts y es
my
muy
Lord.
peligroso.
I'm going to shoot that phone, would you?
And he jumped, and he's like, I almost got killed. He's like, and I told him, he's like, but I jumped. I'm like, you know, I pray for you all the time. I said, so it's the Lord that's watching over you.
Y él
And he
dijo,
kinda,
casi
like,
morí. Y yo
sits
le
there
dije,
and
lloro por
thinks.
ti
Yeah.
todo
I
el
see
tiempo.
him.
Yo sé que
Yeah.
es el
Sometimes
Señor.
I know him so well. When he sits there, I feel like I kind of read what he's thinking, you know.
Y yo lo conozco muy bien. A veces cuando él está sentado ahí, yo creo
I
que
know
yo sé
him,
lo que
you
está
know.
pensando.
Well, you know, I think, you know, I was reading out of Joel chapter 2. He said, I'm going to make up for the years the locust has eaten.
En Joel 2
It's
dice
been a
que
lot
yo
of
voy
years.
a reemplazar por todo lo que la langosta se ha
Like,
comido.
to be honest, I think like this year it's gotten better than. So it's been like 22 years.
This is a year of restoration. This is a year of new beginning. God keeps showing me over and over.
Este es el año de restauración, el año de nuevos
And we need to
comienzos.
take advantage of what God is doing right now.
Tenemos que aprovechar lo que Dios está haciendo ahorita.
If He's doing a certain thing, we need to know the season we're in and
Tenemos que
what He's
conocer
doing so we get in on
La
that.
Yeah,
temporada en
because I
la que
even told
estamos y
him,
lo
like,
que
I
él está
even
haciendo
got
para
mad
ser
at him one
parte de
time
eso.
and yelled at him and told him, I'm tired. I was like, I can't do this by myself. I was
Yo
like,
le
I
dije,
can't,
estoy
it's
cansada,
5 of
ya no
us. I was
puedo
like, I
hacerlo
can't pray for
sola.
all of us. I'm
Yo
like,
no puedo
it's
orar
too
por
much for
todos.
me.
Es mucho para mí.
And I was like, I need help.
Yo
And
necesito
I think
ayuda.
whenever, I think when I told him that, he kind of
You got the message.
he got the message, because I'm like, I'm carrying all that weight.
Y
Yeah.
cuando yo
I
le
said,
dije eso, yo creo que él
You know,
entendió.
yours and the kids. I was
Yeah.
like, it's just so much for me.
Y yo le dije, yo estoy
You know,
cargando
it's like,
eso.
I
Tú
need
carga
help,
la de los
and I
niños
think
y es
that's when
mucho
he
para
kind
mí.
of like slowly started realizing, like,
Yeah.
Y
hey,
después
you
de
know,
eso
she
yo
does
creo
need
que
help.
fue cuando él
Yeah.
empezó a realizar que sí necesito
Well,
ayuda.
this is something everybody in our church needs to realize, myself included, that everybody here, they're carrying loads. You
Es algo que tenemos que realizar, incluyéndome a mí, que todos tenemos cargas.
Everybody, when they come to church on Sunday or Wednesday, they probably had some bad things during the week. They've had tough tough things in their life.
Y cuando venimos los domingos y los miércoles han pasado cosas en la semana y en la vida.
We need to be nice to everybody because everybody's having a hard time.
Y tenemos que ser buenos
Yeah, I
los
try to
unos
be
con
nice.
otros
Try to
porque
be
todos
nice,
están
amen.
pasando por algo.
And you don't know what people have been through.
Yeah.
Y tú no sabes lo que las
And
personas están
Even
pasando
if
o han
they're
pasado.
down or mad or something, just realize that they probably have a reason for that.
Si se ven
We
tristes o
just all need to be
enojados,
nice.
a lo mejor
And,
ellos tienen una razón por eso.
And remember that everybody's got a story.
Y recuerden que todos tenemos una historia.
And man, this has been tremendous, Jeanette. I'm so glad you came, girl.
Esto ha
Me
sido
too.
tremendo y me
I
da
was
mucho
nervous.
gusto
I'm
que
like,
viniste.
oh my God.
Well, I feel like I just
Yo también
know
estaba
you
nerviosa.
Just 100% better now.
Y
I
ahora
thought I
siento
wasn't
que te
gonna make it
conozco
'cause,
100% mejor.
My SUV broke down.
Yo no pensé que iba a llegar porque
So
mi
we're down to one car
camioneta
right
se
now.
descompuso y ahora
Anytime
tenemos
you
un
try to
vehículo.
do, this is the nature of working for God. It's always a fight.
Esta es la naturaleza de
Some,
trabajar
there's always,
para Dios. Siempre hay
the
una
devil
pelea.
wants to stop everything that God's doing.
El
And he's
diablo
not going
quiere
to quit.
parar todo lo
So
que Dios
really
está
yesterday
haciendo.
I didn't drive, but good thing I didn't because I actually had a dream I was in a car accident. So I'm like, maybe as soon as my husband pulled up with the SUV, like right in front of the house, it broke down.
Y que a lo mejor
Well,
fue una razón por la
the
que no
Lord's in
manejé
control.
ayer. Tuve un sueño
Even
que
the
tuve
bad.
un accidente.
Even
Yeah,
the
so I'm like,
bad.
oh, it's okay. I was
Yeah.
like, he just bought the parts, and he's like, well, the mechanic's gonna come. He never came, but I guess we'll fix it. He'll
Yeah.
fix it this weekend.
No la pudieron arreglar porque no llegó el mecánico,
Well,
pero todo
you
está
know, you
bien.
never
Lo
know
arreglamos
when-
el fin de semana.
Things like that happen, how God maybe spared your life from, you know.
Y a veces no sabemos
Yeah.
que cuando cosas
We
así
don't know.
pasan, a lo mejor el Señor
And
está
then-
guardando nuestra vida.
Like you said about your little daughter, when she passed, had she not passed, you probably wouldn't have known the Lord.
Y lo que
Yeah.
dijiste de tu hija pequeña, si ella no hubiera
And
fallecido, a lo mejor no hubieras conocido al
Shows
Señor.
your heart
Y eso muestra tu
and how
corazón,
God's working,
cómo Dios está trabajando.
and it lets you know the Lord, I
Y-
think, even more when you go through things
Y
like
te
that.
deja conocer al Señor aún más cuando pasas
And-
cosas así.
And I think I think you're getting ready to go into the reaping of good things season.
Yo creo que te vas a entrar en la temporada de cosecha.
I believe it's time,
Yo creo que es tiempo.
and I think God's showing you that.
Y yo creo que Dios te está
So you get
enseñando
ready,
eso.
girl.
Prepárate.
Wow, this has been so powerful. I want to pray with you
Esto ha sido muy
before
poderoso. Quiero orar
we
contigo
end the program.
antes de terminar el
And
programa.
man, this has been a blessing.
Y esto ha sido
I
una
hope you guys have
bendición.
enjoyed this. Man, I have.
Espero que ustedes hayan disfrutado porque yo sí.
And Sinaí, thank you so much.
Sinaí, gracias.
You're doing a great job.
Estás haciendo buen trabajo.
And Leo finally got the hood off her head. Praise the
Y
Lord for
Leo al
that.
fin se quitó su gorro.
Oh my goodness. Father, thank you so much for Jeanette.
Gracias, Señor, por Jeanette.
And Lord, you had a special life for her.
Y tú tienes una vida especial para ella.
And you trusted her through difficult situations.
Y tú has confiado en situaciones difíciles con
Because you
ella.
saw her heart.
Porque tuviste su corazón.
You put a special heart in her.
Y tú pusiste un corazón especial
A
en ella.
special spirit in her.
Un espíritu especial en ella.
Which few could endure.
Con el que pocos
What
pueden
she has
pueden
endured.
pasar lo que ella ha pasado.
And that shows me what you put in her, Lord.
Y eso me muestra lo que tú has puesto en ella.
And all the pain that she's gone through, Lord.
Y todo el dolor que ella ha pasado, Señor.
She's going to be able to help so many. There's going to be so many things that she's going to do and so many people she's going to help.
Y va a haber muchas personas que ella va a ayudar y muchas cosas que va a poder hacer.
And she's going to trade the sorrows
Y ella va a cambiar la tristeza
for joy.
por gozo.
She's going to trade the pain
Ella va a cambiar el dolor
for gain and restoration.
por incremento y restauración.
And Lord, her husband is going to come to the kingdom.
Señor, y su esposo va a venir al reino.
I pray for Dennis right now
Yo oro por Dennis en este
that
momento.
you go
Que tú
by your
vayas
Spirit, Lord,
en tu espíritu, Señor,
and draw him
y lo traigas
to the Lord Jesus.
al Señor Jesús.
Change his heart, Lord.
Cambia su corazón,
Heal
Señor.
his soul, his spirit.
Sana su
Lord.
alma y su espíritu,
Lord,
Señor.
bring him to this place.
Señor, tráelo a este
And may
lugar
he find the Lord when he comes.
y que él encuentre al Señor
May it
cuando
not take a
venga.
long time, Lord.
Y que no tome mucho tiempo, Señor.
And Lord, may he see the power and goodness of God working in his wife.
Y que él vea el poder y la bondad del Señor
And
trabajando
Lord, I
en su
want to see
vida.
him healed
Yo lo quiero ver sanado
and restored
y restaurado
And that you're going to give back, Lord,
y que tú vas a regresar,
to
Señor,
this family
a esta familia
all the years
todos los
that the
años
locust has eaten.
que la langosta se ha comido.
And you're going to make up
Y tú vas
for what the devil tried to do
a volver a dar por
to
lo que Dios
destroy
el enemigo ha tratado de
this
destruir
special life.
esta vida especial.
And you have plans in store, Lord.
Y tú tienes planes,
Good things, Lord.
cosas buenas, Señor.
And Lord, I just feel that today, as Jeanette told her story,
Y sí, Señor, yo creo que hoy, mientras ella contó su historia,
she grew
ella creció
in the Spirit
en el Espíritu
to a new place, Lord.
a un lugar nuevo,
A new strength and a new boldness,
una nueva fuerza,
knowing, Lord, that she knows that you are the healer,
sabiendo que tú
You're
eres
the
el sanador,
deliverer.
su liberador,
you are the lover of her soul,
tú eres el amador
you
de
are
su alma,
everything in her life.
tú eres todo en su vida.
And Lord, her love for you is growing
Y su
today.
amor para ti está creciendo hoy.
And she's going to see major things.
Y ella va a hacer
change.
cosas, va a ver cosas grandes cambiar.
And she's going to eat the good of the land.
Y ella comerá el fruto de la
And I
tierra.
bless this child.
Y yo
And
bendigo a
I
esta
thank you for
niña.
her life.
Y te doy gracias por su vida.
Thank you that you brought her here,
Gracias por haberla traído aquí, Señor.
Lord, and put her here
Y traerla aquí.
because she is bringing something that no one else can bring.
Porque ella está trayendo algo que nadie más puede
Everyone you put here
traer.
has something special.
Cada persona que tú has
And she
traído
is
tiene algo
bringing
especial.
a new dimension here.
Y ella ha traído una nueva dimensión
And what
aquí.
you're doing through her is going to spread to the church.
Y lo que tú estás haciendo a través de
In
ella
Jesus'
pasará a toda la
powerful name.
iglesia en el nombre poderoso de Jesús.
Amen.
Amén.
Amen. Bless you. Somebody's wanting to get in touch with you. pretty
Oh,
bad.
that's because my daughter, she has to go to work.
Oh, this is great, guys. Thank you all so much for tuning in today.
Gracias por estarnos viendo hoy.
Great job.
Sinaí, buen trabajo.
And girl in the hood, you did a good job too.
Y la de la gorra también hizo buen trabajo.
Bless you, Jeanette. I've enjoyed this so
Thank
much.
you.
He tenido mucho gusto contigo hoy.